everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Recovery Scene. I'm your host, Leslie. Tonight, I have Suzanne and Dave Logan. You guys probably know Suzanne from Seek Purpose podcast, which is really awesome. If you haven't checked it out, you need to check it out. So I'm going to tell you to like and subscribe to two podcasts tonight. Definitely this one, and definitely Seek Purpose. It's really awesome with Suzanne and Brooke. So Suzanne and Dave are a couple in recovery. Now, a really cool fact is that Dave has never had a legal drink. I think that's so awesome. Now, I'm going to give you the floor like I do all the time. But let me start with this question. Were you, you started in recovery separately and met?
Yes.
All right. I want to hear these. I want to hear what it's like being a couple in recovery, because Ian is a total normie. I mean, he's never even smoked a cigarette.
Oh my God.
I know, right?
He must understand recovery now.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He's been to more open NA meetings, AA meetings, Naranon.
Yay, the supportive husband. We love you, Ian.
Yay.
That's so
yeah,
good.
he's okay.
Yeah, we've had those days. We've had a lot of those days of like, a lot more of those days than we like to remember. But
right. So we've got Suzanne. We've gotten, not to be like Suzanne, we've heard your story, but
yeah.
We've got your story, but we've never heard Dave's story.
Yeah.
I guess. Well, I was actually sober 6 years before I met Suzanne. As you mentioned, I did come into recovery before I had my first legal drink, and that was just because I had a family that was concerned about my drinking at a young age, and it was mostly due to my dad's work. He was in the military, and he was really high up in the military, so they needed to try to get me sober because of his profession, and so I was put into treatment really young.
Yeah, I was going to say, you must have started really young.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know if I started much younger than a lot of people that I've heard of in the program. Other people that I know that drank, that got into recovery. But I think because my drinking took a real toll on me, and because, like I said, because of my dad's position, then I had such a transformation in my personality that they wanted to get me help at such a young age, and that I was sent into these recovery houses and treatment centers, and I kept going to them over and over again because they really wanted me to get sober, and because of that, I think I was just I don't even know why. I was just fortunate enough to get sober at such a young age, and fast forward 6 years, I met Suzanne actually at a dance. I won't say a recovery dance, actually at a recovery club in downtown Vancouver, and she was there with friends that she knew, and she had been drinking that night. So I didn't presume that she was actually in the program of recovery. So I just should have stuck my nose into her business, and
literally.
Yeah, literally.
Well, you opened up for that one.
Yeah, well,
That's so romantic.
Oh yeah. Anyway, yeah. So anyway, we proceeded to do some things, and that's basically how we met, and the stories went from there. And we didn't really want to be together. I don't think we both, I'd been married before, which I did early in my recovery, which was just a stupid thing. And she had been with someone before and had a child from that previous relationship. So we were both coming off other relationships that we were sort of not, we weren't really in a position where we wanted to be with other people. But for some reason we were just put together. And so we were kind of like, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, for quite a few months. Um, I remember in the beginning it was just a struggle, and for some reason we just never could get rid of each other, kind of thing. Even though I think a lot of the time we didn't really want to be together, but for some reason, a power greater than ourselves, if you want to call it that, just kept us coming back to each other. And now 30 years later, here we sit.
Right. I mean, you can call it destiny, you can call it God, you can call it the universe, whatever it is, you can't fight it.
That's right. And you know, and as I think, sure, I don't know how much of Suzanne's story you guys have put on tape, but uh, it is we mentioned it isn't easy when you're in a couple together in recovery if you're not working a program separately. I think that for her and I have always sort of had our recovery separate, then our family together, and we've done that um, with the help of a higher power who I choose to call God, she chooses to call God, and other people can choose to call it whatever they want. And that's the great thing about the program. But we've sort of always kept our program separately. She goes to her friends and her sponsor. I go to myself. I don't sponsors and stuff in the past, but you know what? Like I tend to go my own meetings. When we go to our meetings, we don't always necessarily sit together. We never did in the beginning. We have our own friends and our
Right.
own.
We've been in support meetings and people don't even know that we're together because a lot of times we'll walk through the door, get out of the car together, and then he goes his way and I sometimes
Right.
with him, and when we sit together it's almost like date night. But generally we kind of just go in and like he says.
Yeah, and that was a point there that I was, or a question that I was going to ask. So you each, and you answered it. You each work your own program. Because I think people assume because a couple is in recovery, they're recovering together, and I actually put, just husband and wife in recovery. You're in recovery, but you're not necessarily in recovery. It's funny because you are, but you aren't.
He definitely doesn't work the program I work. I can promise you that.
Right. You recover together separately.
Oh yeah, and I've been very judgmental and critical of the way he works his program because he does it totally different than the way. I mean, obviously we do it so well that we're still sober, and
right. Right.
He's gone his pathway, and sometimes it's not the pathway that I want him to take. Often over the years that we battled and struggled, I would sit and wait, be like, he needs to go and get the help. He needs to call the counselor. He needs to do this. And I sat there and suffered a long time waiting for him to make that move. And really at the end of the day, it was just my ego and my pride. And I was like, why the hell am I waiting for him? It was only hurting me in the end. So I started making the appointments and I started doing those things. And he would always come. It was just like he would always show up. Anything I booked or anything that I tried, he was always there. So even the amount of times I wanted to leave him or we wanted to be like, screw you, fuck you, it was always difficult because he'd always show up, right? You can't like I'm not going to sit there and go through that when he's still making and being willing to make this work, right? And at the end of the day, you learn in recovery that youing on him and him youing on me keeps us sick. And it's really not about that. It's about, what's going on for ourselves. Why am I feeling that way? Why am I, where does that root come from? Where does that feeling come from to make me want to lash at him or blame him? And once I was able to kind of heal that part and he was able to heal that part for himself, we were really able to, start experiencing a different level of our relationship that has been where we really started becoming a couple.
Right. Now I had one of the coolest things that somebody told me, and I say it to people all the time, is you got to let people be where they are.
Yeah.
You just have to let people be where they are, you know? And it's not recovery, but along the same lines, you know, Ian loves his kids. Ian is an excellent father, takes care of his children. Ian has no idea when he gets them for their birthdays or Christmases. Because I do it. He's never going to go online and order the Pikachu stuff or the Pokemon stuff. I know what they're into. I know what they like. He doesn't know what he gets his parents. You know, like I take care of it all. And that's just how he is. You know, it's just not his thing. It's not his way, you know, and he knows that I'm here and he knows that that's what I do, you know, and I take care of it. So yeah, you just have to like and it's hilarious because they'll open something and go, thanks, Dad. And he's like, you're welcome.
Yeah.
We've done a lot of shopping together, but generally,
but no, yeah, exactly. There's lots of things that, you know, even with this podcast stuff and when you were setting up, I have no idea what you guys are talking about, like not a clue. And when it comes to, like I have a Facebook page, believe it or not, and I have no idea even how to use it, like not a clue. Instagram, my son is a big Instagram influencer and his girlfriend. And I'm supposed to keep track of them. And my wife always goes, you got to press the heart to say you like it. Imagine if you're the one, she said, imagine if they needed one more heart to get some, what was it?
Well, to get a contract.
Oh, to get a contract,
so
they needed one more heart.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I have to press it? She goes, yeah, make sure you press it every time. And I'm like, oh, I have to. So it's just stuff like that. Like, for sure. There's things that she, you know, and there's things that she doesn't like to do that I do.
Lots.
Right? And like I do the dishes. We have this agreement that she cooks, I do the dishes. I don't mind. I like doing the dishes. And there's times the garage, she can tell me where to put stuff and I'll put it there. I'm not good at organizing though. I'm horrible. But I can move the stuff once she says, put it here, put it there, put it there.
Yeah.
So we sort of have this arrangement. And I'm sure most husband and wives have that, where there's people that are really good at one thing and the other person isn't. And that's what makes a good relationship, I think.
Right. Exactly. Now, you know, just backing up a little bit, Dave, I think it's like the fact that, like, because a lot of us, and I think I had this conversation with Suzanne when we were doing her interview, when people get sober young, it's like mind blowing to me. It's amazing because I think about who I was, you know, at between the ages of 16 and pretty much all of my 20s. And I think there's no way. And even if I did, it would have never stuck. So what do you think, you know, getting sober so young, what do you think made it stick for you?
I wanted to live. I mean, honestly, once I was told I had this problem, my drinking got so bad, and it wasn't even so much I didn't drink like, you know, sat there and just drank constantly, and I wasn't like drinking out of a paper bag and lying in a gutter, but it was just, everything just started going downhill so fast that I could see the decline. I could see, you know, like every time I left another recovery center, I ended up, you know, one time I got beat up by the cops. Next time I was in jail for drunk and disorderly. The next time, you know, it just constantly, the next time I was sleeping in a mission, one of those overnight mission places where I was sleeping in other people's urine. It was just, you know, at 17 years old, it's just not some place you want to be eating, not day-old donuts. I'm talking crusty, hard donuts that you can barely bite through. It was, and I came from, as I said, my dad was high up in the military, and when I lived in Victoria, we had a house, we had gardeners, his
dad showed the Queen around. Let's just say how high up.
Okay, yes, that's cool.
Personally, the queen around.
Yeah, we had like tennis courts, and it was just not that we were rich. It's just the lifestyle we had for a while. It was so I was used to that, the finer things. So it's not like I came from a trailer park. So I wanted those things. So when I was going down that slope, I'm just like, hold it. No, this is not the way I'm supposed to be going. I don't want these things. And for some reason, I don't know, maybe I was just, God, let's go back to God. God saved me from this dreaded. And
we say that I'll probably cry saying it. He'll probably cry with me saying it. When we got sober, remember one day he said, he always questioned, why God, why me? Because when he was sober 6 years and met me, he wasn't in a good spot sober either. He was divorced. He was basically living on the street again. He was actually selling cocaine. When he met me, it was just, he wasn't in a good place either in his recovery. He met me and he was questioning, why God, why save me? And then he said, I know why God saved me, because he needed me to meet you and Joel. He needed to come into my son's life. And that's why I sit there and think, why did we stay together as long as we have? Why didn't I leave? Out of all the fights that we've had, and you come in baggage, you say young and sober. I mean, we had so much baggage when we came in. As young as we were, we came from different lifestyles, but the same core root of the hurts. And we unpacked that together. But we stayed together because when we had our children sober, especially our daughter Kayla, who's special needs, that's why he kept us together, was because he needed us for her, or higher power needed us for Kayla, for my son Joel, for my son Brendan, for others now. Now we're the sober couple or whatever doing those crazy TikTok, but we do it because we have fun, but we also want to show others that long-term sobriety and being a young couple in recovery and going through marriage and, honeymoon sober, travel sober, raising a family sober can be done. It's bigger than us. It's not about, yeah.
That's powerful. That's really powerful. Yeah. Yeah. I call my higher power God. So God definitely had big plans for the two of you. He was not going to let either of you screw this up.
And you don't realize it when you're in it. It's like,
right.
That reflection when you look back. It's when you look back and go, oh, is that why I didn't get that job or didn't go to this or this didn't happen? Oh, okay, I see now, God. I trust you. The more you stay sober, from my own experiences, I'm sure Dave can say the same thing, is you begin to trust your higher power more and more and more as the years and the days go on being sober, because you can look back and see all the greatness that has been created.
Right.
Living a sober lifestyle. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, people usually assume that, being, and most of the time this is true, you can, but it's very difficult to be in a relationship where one person is sober and trying to stay sober and the other person is not. But is being a couple in recovery always a picnic?
No, I mean, I have gone through my own other addictions, like my horrible relationship with food. We separated because of his gambling addiction. It was I never knew him drinking. He was 6 years sober when I met him. So everything he had to say was like, wow, this guy is so hot. Guys don't talk like he did. And for those of us who've been in recovery for a while can understand that. But when I was new, I was like, oh my God, this guy is so hot, the way he's sharing and cares about me and talking emotions and feelings. But as I got sober, when he got into his gambling, and it wasn't as much that he was gambling everything away. It was the amount of time he took away to do that and how consumed he was and how quickly he changed. And I was like, where did my husband go?
Right.
Who are you? He turned into another animal. It was an animal because it was unrecognizable from the man that I fell in love with. and it was extremely difficult. So to your question about how do you deal with somebody with an addiction, I get it. He may not have drank or drugged, but the emotional abuse that he did upon himself as well as everybody else around him was,
Yeah. Because people think, you know, you quit doing your drug of choice or you quit drinking and that's it, you know, that, oh, you're fixed, you know, but tell us a little bit from your side, Dave, what that was like.
Sorry?
say it from your side.
Oh, yeah, it was horrible. I was, gambling was brutal. And food, even to this day, food is a real struggle for me. Because I still suffer from depression. I have fits of, I go up and down quite a bit. I have a job or a profession I'm in now that sort of, I go through a lot of rejection. So it's, I struggle with, I have up days and down days. And on the down days, I tend to eat. And, yeah, so my weight goes up and it goes down and goes up and it goes down. So yeah, I get depressed a lot. But as far as the gambling goes, yeah, it was a real struggle because, like Suzanne said, it wasn't about the money. At the time, we had a good business going and we had money, and it was so easy to just take some money and just go spend it, and it was the time away and just the lying and stealing from my family. And I spent 4 months away at one point, living on a couch in my office, just so I could gamble every day. And yeah, it was just horrible. And I remember just the way I talked to my kids, and they were little at the time too. It was just horrible. And I just couldn't associate it with being an issue for some reason at that point. And it was just the same feelings as, you know, drinking and drugging. Really, it was, and you know, thank God I came out of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's still an addiction. It's a process addiction,
Yeah.
but it's, and our brain just kind of goes the same way until somebody says, hey, this is a problem,
Oh yeah.
you know, and sometimes they have to say it 100 times,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
we just don't get it.
Yeah, we had it, and a lot of people who are out there who are dealing with it. When we separated, and I didn't believe in divorce at that time. And when I separated, it was clear that it wasn't divorce. It was a separation for his safety, my safety, as well as the children. And the way I explained it to the kids that particular day was, we were coloring at the kitchen table, and I said to them, gave them all blank papers, and I said, hey, I want you guys to color the pictures that you love about Dad. Anything that you think of how much you love Dad, what you did, how you feel, write it, like draw a picture. So each one of them did pictures about how much they love Dad. And then I said, have you guys seen this guy around lately? And they're like, and I go, me neither. I said, you know that other guy that shows up here once in a while? And they're like, maybe we should ask him to leave and come back when this guy comes back. And they're like, So we actually sat in the living room that day, waiting for him to come home from a bender. I had all this stuff packed and downstairs in the foyer. And he came up the stairs, and the kids were sitting there, and that's what I told him is, we love you. The kids gave him the pictures, and what happened after that was, I mean, it was kind of scary because he just was like an animal. It was like the devil. That's the only way I could explain it. It was such a cross between the man, the tender, loving, human friend, most incredible man, to a violent, not physical, but verbally, the things that he called me, you brainwashing my motherfucking kid, da, 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 and he flew down the stairs, and he was nasty in front of the kids. It was scary. The kids were scared. I was scared, and he ended up leaving. And we made a stand. We didn't have him come back until he took care of what he needed to take care of. And I said, to him at one point after that, you would never want your wife, the woman that you love, and your children to live with something that you were bringing home every day. So I know you wouldn't, and you'd be proud of us for doing what we did. So when you're well, we will do 150% to love you. But if you're not going to get well, then we can't support you 1%. And so it took 4 months, literally living on a couch. It was like I was going to support meetings and I heard, oh, your husband was here trying to sell cigarettes. Like we were homeowners, we had a boat, we had fucking everything that any man or family would want. And here he is trying to sell a package of cigarettes to get some cash at a support meeting, a 12-step meeting. You know, like it was like, that's the addiction. That is addiction.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, Dave, what was the turning point for you? What made you wake up on that couch one day and go, what the hell am I doing?
I don't remember. Honestly, I don't. I think I went to treatment for a while, and I think that really helped me, just going away and realizing that, and just getting away from what I was doing. And yeah, I went to this treatment center on the island, on Vancouver Island, and it was just getting away and back into, you know, not being able to, and just having kind of a spiritual awakening. And yeah, just coming back to my senses in a way. And yeah, and I mean, since then things have not always been perfect, but they definitely have gotten a lot better. That was like 15 years ago. Oh no, more than that.
You're 18
years ago. Oh, 17 years sober.
Oh, 17
so
years sober.
18 years ago. Yeah, so it's been a long time since that happened. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. And sometimes we just need to get separated from what it is that's taking over, you know, and like for me, a lot of the times it was remembering who I was before this, you know. So once I had that separation for a while, I just kind of came back to myself, is the best way that I could put it.
Yeah.
You know? So
I understand the 12 steps and all that. So, and getting started back on the 12 steps on the right path was definitely helpful for me. So, in that instance, but Suzanne and I go through the steps quite often. I'm actually working on steps right now. So we do them over and over and over again. Feels like too much. Constantly looking at myself. Gets to be annoying sometimes. But
actually, one of his amends that he did kind of was, one day I woke up, and this is an incredible amends. Okay, I woke up and he was just like, "Good morning, honey," and I hate getting woken up. And I was like, "What?" And he goes, "Don't move and do not open this until I leave." And so I was like, "What?" So he put an envelope in my hand and said, "Do not open till I leave." And so he leaves, and I'm like, "What the fuck?"
In case you didn't get it the first time.
Yeah, like I'm half asleep going, "What the hell are you doing, dude?" And then I open it up, and he kind of wrote on the first line saying, "I haven't always been a perfect husband, but I love you. And I need to take you through all the amazing things that you and I have done." Basically, it was like, this is your first clue. And it was about how we united as one. Go to the place where we united as one. And it was basically, the clue was going to our first son's school and his high school. So then I went there, and then he's like, "Now go to clue number 2. And he had them all hidden throughout my car, like all over under the seat and the visor in the glove box. And I had all of these clues, and he took me on a journey all through the most incredible times of our life, of our marriage, where we got married, where we had, you know, the children born, and it was just unbelievable. And and then I was like so excited to see him. He goes, "You'll find me at the end." I'm like, I want to just get to see him, because I was like, I had a spiritual experience too through this. Was just so beautiful that he took such time to do this. And I finally get to where the end is, which was at this place called Grouse Mountain. And it's like this fucking mountain. And I'm like, I see him. It was like, honest to God, it was like something out of a movie. He was standing there with flowers, and I'm like, park the car as fast as I can. I run to him like a goddamn movie, jump into his arms. I'm crying. I love you. I love you. And he's just like, oh. And then he opens up the back of his car, and there's some hiking shoes. And I'm like, what the fuck? We're going to go on a hike? Like, I'm expecting up the gondola, have a candlelight dinner, you know, like wined and dined. Well, not wined, but dined.
Right.
This place is called the Grouse Grind, and it is one of the hardest hikes straight up the goddamn mountain. And it's like it was hell, and like not even quarter of the way up. And I'm like, you fucking asshole! This is our goddamn marriage. He's laughing, but we did it together, hey?
It was fun.
He had it all planned, and we went up the mountain together, and just like our marriage.
And we had dinner.
We did have dinner.
Yeah.
Right, there was dining.
Yeah.
After a 3-hour hike.
3 hours it took us. Well, my son, it took us 3 hours.
No, it didn't take us 3 hours.
2 hours.
I don't know.
2 hours. Okay, my son, our firstborn, ran that thing in like record time. What was his best time?
36 minutes.
36 minutes. Record was like 31 minutes. Okay, like, yeah, it was insane.
Oh, that's fantastic, though.
Yeah. So never over till it's over.
So what's it like being like to people that know you? You know, you are the couple on TikTok. You know, like relationship goals, and for as tough as things can be, it does look like being a couple in recovery, especially if you are, you know, working towards a common goal of helping others, you know, whether it's through videos or what have you. That's got to be fun. I mean, oh my gosh, the one that you did with the wrapping paper rolls was oh, that's got to be fun. I mean, it's got to add a little bit of, you know, laughter, if nothing else.
She makes me do them.
Why do I have a feeling?
Yeah, you do. He does.
She makes me do them.
You know something, but the big thing is, you're right, social media, we've been able to show that. But for people who do know us and our recovery, we have always been around. Like, we joke because it's like Dave and Suzanne. And then some places Suzanne and Dave. And sometimes he goes and says, I'm Suzanne's husband, or I'm Dave's wife. But
no, it's always Suzanne's husband, because I am the quiet one. Wherever we go, I'm the quiet one, and so any meeting we go to, I'm always Suzanne's husband.
Until they get to know him, and then he's just like a ham.
That's Ian. That is Ian. Yes.
Yeah. But we worked with teenagers for 20 years doing door-to-door sales, and if anybody knows door-to-door sales, we've always been.
Yeah, we see them all over the city, and yeah, I just saw one the other day. He's a security guard for the movie sets, and he's in his 40s now, but all the kids that used to work for us, they're like 40, anywhere between 35 and 45 now, but they all used to work for us in Coquitlam.
Oh wow, that's really cool.
We've been a lot of kids, stepmom. We call, we're like second parents to a lot of kids. We're blessed. We're so blessed to be able to be with a lot of vulnerable youth in our community and be able to kind of steer them and mentor them in a way to at least help them know that it's okay to not be okay and have shit go on in life, but more importantly, where to go to get help. We never used to see necessarily it play out the rest of their lives as far as getting into recovery or support or whatnot in their lives. But we were like seed planters, and we loved doing it. And blessed to be able to see like.
I think that was probably my favorite time, was working with teenagers.
Now, what did you do when you were working with teenagers exactly?
Just take them out, and they went door to door selling newspaper subscriptions. But we had a van filled with kids, teenagers. And then we moved up in ranks, and we had kids here in Calgary, in Edmonton, Winnipeg. We had kids all over the place. But we used to fly from here, and then we had adults too doing it at like events like the PNE, Calgary Stampede, the Klondike Days in Edmonton. So we had lots of people working for us. But we used to go around and train them, mentor them. Yeah, it was so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually, we just loved it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
A lot of people that came may not necessarily been the type that could go out and get and be successful in a regular job, especially,
They're salespeople, hustlers.
Hustler. They're like, a lot of them were one of
troubled
us.
Youth.
A lot of troubled youth.
What kind of schools are those?
Oh, like alternate schools.
Alternate schools.
Ah, okay, yeah.
High schools, like all the badass kids, the smoke pit kids. Those are the kids. Those were the best kids we had. Actually, 4 of our, I'll say this now, but I won't mention names, but 4 of the kids that worked for us were charged for murder later in their days.
Oh, wow.
That's the type of kids that worked for us.
Mm-hmm.
But they were great when they worked for us. They were amazing
God.
kids, and we loved them to death.
Loved them.
And that's all we did was show them love. And some of them worked for us for 5 years, all through their high school. And they made really, really good money. They had a blast. It was so much fun.
Yeah,
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I was so worried at one point. I remember one time I was like, you go through periods of time, like we're going to quit this job. And, you go through periods. It was just so hard. It was just different levels of the business. And we're just like, oh. And then I remember one time we showed up at a support meeting. I'll never forget. This is like the most pivotal moment in our career then was we were in that moment. We were all frustrated because people are people. And of course, what do you do when you go through tough times in life and recovery? You go to your support meeting. Nothing else was going right in our life in that day. Nothing at that point, except we went to our meeting. We pulled up, and I'm not shitting you, 5 of kids that we had mentored that were all there together, helping each other, kind of like what we mentored in our career, in our vans with our kids, with those youth, is they were all at this particular meeting, this particular night. And I mean, we just couldn't even get out of the car. We just started crying. And some of them are still sober,
That's really cool. I mean, that is so satisfying. And then that's not enough of a word. I can't think of the word that I want.
That's God saying, this is why we kept you sober, Suzanne and Dave, right? Like, right. You're not going to quit. You're not going to go anywhere. I need you right here, right now to keep doing what you've been doing. It was kind of like those little God shot moments that when you question everything in life and you want to quit and you just keep doing the do. Like I said, you go to your meeting and then God always shows up and gives you the answers that you need to hear. And yeah, that's happened. Yeah. Many times in our sobriety, many times with people and, so.
Yeah, it was like we were saying at the beginning, he definitely had plans. He has used the 2 of you to change lives, and you're still changing lives. You're not done. Now you've moved on to a podcast and sweet journey videos. And it's like I tell Ronnie, and for those of you that don't know, Ronnie is another guy in the recovery family, and he's on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, and he makes people laugh, but he's also sending a message, because you always get the serious, drugs will kill you and drinking will ruin your life and all this bomb, but very rarely do we get, I really think that people are more open when they're laughing because they're in a completely different place. It's like, hey, these people are sober, but clearly they're having a good time. And I think that we show, there's now in the recovery scene, there's such diversity. You can see, okay, hey, at 18 years old, these people are having a great time. Oh, look at that. They're mid-20s. These guys are having a great time. Wait a minute. These people in their 30s. And it's like, oh, you mean sobriety can be fun all the way until we're old like us? Seriously?
Yes.
Yes. And so I think the two of you are still such an excellent example of life in recovery, and building a life together separately in recovery, and I just think that that's a really strong message. I think the two of you send a really strong message. And I think you were right. You said, God needed us to be sober for our kids. Well, yeah, he also needed you to be sober for other people's kids. And he needs you to be sober for, all the young people who are paying attention, and if 10,000 of them see your video and one of them stays sober and stays alive, you guys have just made a miracle. And that's powerful. That's really, really powerful. And yeah, I don't know what else I can add because that's just amazing.
It's so important. You're right. Like that's a big part of, when it started off with Seek Purpose's TikTok, and then we kind of separated because Brooke had her sober lifestyle, and then it was like sober lifestyle, and then it kind of, Dave and I started putting a couple TikToks and and got some nice attention around that. So God speaks sometimes, and it is so important. Like I was told, sobering up young, and Dave, if we did not find joy or fun, we will be drinking again. Like that's always been in the forefront of my sobriety. I'm a rush seeker. Like I will do the work, and my reward is this better fucking pay off. And it always does. And to be able to celebrate and to have fun and enjoy, and he from the beginning taught me that. He taught me that. He was the first person who took me fishing and started teaching me so many things in life that I never thought of doing sober. And, to be able to share it with my best friend in the whole world, and be able to give that back and show others is really, that's what it's all about.
Right. So, this has been awesome. But okay, you guys, I'm going to flip it on Suzanne here for a minute because this is what they do on Seek Purpose, and I'm going to steal it. So Suzanne and Dave, as a couple in recovery, what do you think your purpose is?
What our purpose is?
Together. Yes.
Oh man, you answer. We actually have a purpose statement. We questioned that a long time ago, and we had a woman that taught us how to figure out, like, you guys have to figure this out. Okay, you go.
Okay.
You answer. Okay, go.
She can't not talk.
You do it.
I don't know.
Okay, it's not just me.
Our purpose is to bring joy and laughter to all God's children. Right?
That's right.
That's right. Yeah.
That's perfect. See, he did have the answer.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Dave and Suzanne, this has been so much fun. I'm so glad that the two of you agreed to come on and, just talk about life and what it's like being a couple in recovery. Thank you so much.
Thank you
for having us.
Yeah, this is the first one we've ever done outside of Seek Purposes, of course, but thank you for having us.
You are so welcome. That's going to do it for us. Another episode of the Recovery Scene in the books. And remember, addiction isn't pretty, but recovery is beautiful. And we'll see you next time.